What is going on, everyone? It's your boy Documentary Review here, back at it again with another scintillating documentary review. Today we're going to delve into Dawg Fight, a 2015 documentary directed by Billy Cohen. Any form of fighting has always been considered the most savage of any professional sporting event. It's scary for some fans to watch, but tantalizing for others. People have said that it takes the good part of hockey and puts it in its own display. Rapper, fan, and boxing promoter 50 Cent was quoted saying he appreciates fighting because it is one of the purest sport forms out there. Two fighters going into the ring with nothing but their training, poise, and mental and physical toughness. No hyper-technological cleat nor space-age material swimsuit can save you once you're in the ring. However, only the most dedicated of fighting fans can scratch the surface of the fighting scene and see what it's really about. The rest of us gather in the millions to watch the glamorous events such as the UFC Championship or once-in-a-generation boxing matches. This is the glitzy and glamorous tip of the iceberg occupied by the small percentage of fighters who can cash in on their talents and live in fame and luxury. This documentary penetrates into the roots of fighting with an in-depth look at a backyard brawling league in a Florida suburb. West Perrine, Florida is home to a backyard fighting league that has made waves in the fighting world, mainly because it has produced MMA sensations Kimbo Slice and Dawg 5000. This documentary follows Dawg 5000 as he heads this brawling league and subsequently captures the drama, damage, and emotions that come from the fights. In this backyard fight setting, running is not an acceptable defense. The ring is intentionally shrunken from a standard boxing 16 by 16 foot ring to a more intimate 12 by 12 foot ring, which promotes confrontation and eliminates dodging. Dawg makes it known 3 ways the fight will end: by knockout, referee stoppage, he is the ref, or by a fighter quitting. Obviously, the last option will draw jeers and judgment from the crowd. One scene in the documentary shows a fighter who is truly unprepared and doesn't want to fight, and asking Dawg to stop the fight. However, his girlfriend is standing there next to the ring shouting for the fight to continue and further the onslaught. It is raw emotions like these that define the documentary and make it so hard to resist watching. The documentary was marketed with the slogan, "The only way to escape the streets is to fight your way out." And sure enough, the doc's footage showed this is true. Dawg 5000 and his crew are given the notion to fighters that this backyard fighting league is a premier opportunity for them, and they should be fortunate to be there. For a lot of these guys, this fighting league actually is a great opportunity in their lives, to launch a fighting career, or to just put bread on the table. A scene where Dawg is distributing money to fighters hits home this point. Many of these guys live paycheck to paycheck, and these fights could be their only legal income. The film crew sits down and talks to each of the individual fighters, and a heartbreaking cycle becomes clear. These men are not able to find a job, or have a job, but just get involved in the wrong crowd. So they do something illegal for money and go to prison. Get out of prison, can't find a job, need to support themselves and their family, so they resort to doing another illegal activity which lands them in jail again. Organizations like Dawg's Fighting League can be the only way for many of these guys to break this cycle. Even if it's bare-fisted fighting, it's the best chance for these men to gain money a different way and start putting the pieces back together. The individual stories showcased in the documentary make for a touching look into American poverty. You will even be shocked towards the end of the documentary, as one of the fighters the crew has been following all documentary long is actually killed in a vicious shooting. One more somber moment was when the film crew rolled a follow-up clip on one of the fighters in the film, who is now dead after resisting arrest from police. One big word that describes this documentary for me is eye-opening. Even if it's 2 words with a hyphen, I'm still using it, and let me tell you why. I will wholeheartedly admit that I am a tip of the iceberg fighting fan that we discussed earlier. I always tuned in to championship fights and title belt bouts, and got my fighting fix from those. So I became accustomed to seeing the packed arenas, sports studio crews, and all the other glamorous proceedings. So when I first saw Dawg 5000 professionally fight, previously on another video on YouTube, not in the documentary, I won't hesitate to say I was underwhelmed at first. The arena was partially filled, the venue itself seemed to be more of a civic center than an actual rocking sports venue, and none of the fancy frills were there at the introduction of the fight. Honestly, it had the same feeling to it as a minor league baseball game. It was not until watching this documentary where I realized how influential this fight was for Dawg 5000 and his city, and it truly taught me a lesson not to take things at face value. The documentary provides an interesting presentation of information, showing us the raw backyard fight footage and mixing it with Dawg's own journey to be a professional MMA fighter. Here was a man who was a street legend and the baddest dude for miles around. and he still tirelessly worked to perfect the very intricate parts of mixed martial arts such as ground game and footwork. The amount of work Dada puts into making this dream a reality gives me so much respect for anyone in or trying to be a professional MMA fighter. It also pays immense homage to the difficulty of the sport, where a man that can obliterate jawbones with his fist still has to work for months just to be a competitive MMA fighter. It is also eye-opening to see the inspiration one person can provide a community. Like I said, when first watching Dada fight, I just thought he was another fighter who looked intimidating. However, it never even crossed my mind that this man was coming in with the entire backing of West Perrine, Florida on his side, a community where this man inspired a culture that is a staple for the area, and where young men are trying to be like him. After watching this documentary, you won't look at it as fighters walking into a ring, you look at them as two icons, shining symbols of their heritage and area where they're being looked up to by hordes of local adoring fans. This holds true for a fighter coming out of an American ghetto, or the man stepping in across from him, the embodiment of his own town and culture he carries with him every time he steps into the arena. As you could assume, there are scenes in this documentary that are graphic. However, Dawg Fight is an extremely inspiring, eye-opening, and insightful look into many topics, whether it's mixed martial arts in general, the legality and ethics of backyard street fighting, or the underlying culture of American poverty. Either way, I totally recommend it. It is such a fascinating watch. That's what I thought of Dawg Fight. What do you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments below, along with suggestions as to what documentaries to watch next. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to catch next week's documentary. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.